We're just two regular ass bitches from the coast.
What is up, and welcome to Gym Girls Anonymous. We're your two unhinged gym besties who are here to talk shit, get fit, and learn as we go. I'm Lainey.
And I'm Roni. Our goal is to have fun, share unscammy, honest fitness advice, and to learn as we go, because we don't know everything, and that's okay. Today we're going to get into your why, how to set SMART goals, and the importance of a training plan. But first, let's talk about some of our most recent hyperfixations.
For me lately, I have been absolutely hooked on the Impossible Wild Nuggets because they're shaped like little rhinoceros and dolphins and they taste like chicken nuggets, from what I remember, because I haven't had actual chicken nuggets in forever. I've also been big on the Kite Hill Greek yogurt because it is very high in protein and I need
Gotta
that
hit those
shit.
protein goals.
Gotta hit the protein goals. I've also been watching motivation videos in the morning and I've really been loving that. They're like very gym bro style on YouTube and they really get me going.
A good start to your morning. Lately, I have been obsessed with the flavor of stone ground mustard. I don't know what it is. I just got like a craving for it a couple weeks ago, and so I have put it on quite literally everything. Hard-boiled eggs have been really big this week because also got to hit those protein goals. Just a little squirt on there. Any of my little sandwiches, quite literally everything gets a little
Little bit of
bit.
mustard.
I brought it today for my lunchbox because for my snack I was like, oh, I'll bring some with me.
Yeah.
My other hyperfixation is I've been reading and listening to the Morgan Dane series by Melinda Lee. It's really good. It's crime related. The main character is a lawyer and just kind of follows her life and the behind the scenes of it. One thing though that's driving me absolutely fucking nuts is the constant, oh, you can't be eating that, you gotta eat a protein shake, oh, you gotta eat this protein bar, here's a green tea instead of coffee. I don't think maybe she realized that she was doing it because she read the books so far apart or what was going on, but I have binged them in the last 2 weeks and I am losing it. I love the books, so I'm like, really, girl, you got me fucked up. But I highly recommend them if you don't really care about hearing about fucking protein bars because
You gotta have your protein.
yeah.
Today we're gonna go over determining your why. So I'm gonna let Ronnie take the lead on this.
It's kind of important, obviously, to understand why you are doing something. Because if you don't know why you're doing it, it's really hard to continue to have the motivation and show up. If you understand your goals, it then gives you the benefit of knowing what your why is. So, for example, you have to think what is most important to you. What do you want out of this life and your next journey into a fitness, I don't know, lifestyle, I suppose. How does that goal connect with something you really care deep down about? What kind of person you want to be, and again, what kind of life you want to create out of this next journey. That way it creates those goals, it gives you the motivation, and it just gives you that base understanding of why we're doing what we're doing. Does that make sense? Right? Yeah.
It does. And so as humans, we kind of have this novelty motivation, which is being excited to start something. And that's great because it gets you going, but it will not last. It will wear off as soon as it gets a little bit difficult. So then you have your extrinsic motivation, which is someone else relying on you to show up. When we first started going to the gym, we knew that the other person was waiting for us to show up, and that was motivating because we didn't want to let the other person down. Extrinsic motivation is great, but it again is not something that you can always rely on to be there, which is where we get our intrinsic motivation, which is your why. It's why you're motivated from the inside, and it's the driving factor behind all of your actions. So when you find a goal that you want, it's helpful to ask yourself, like a 5-year-old, why? 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 Let's just say you want to start working out. Why? Well, I want to look better. Why? Because then I'll feel more confident. Why? Because blah, 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 blah. And you just keep asking yourself why till you get to the bottom. And that'll help you weed out goals that aren't really important to you. Because if you don't have a why, if you're just doing something to do it, it's not going to be long term or sustainable.
Like you saw a trend on TikTok or something, you're like, oh, I think I can do that, so I'm gonna start it. Your why is doing something that you saw online. Like, yeah, okay, I can see that gets you out there and going, but there is no connection to it. If you find it inside yourself, in your brain, wherever you need to look, and think, okay, I want to walk X amount of steps every day because I know long term it's going to be good for this, 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 this. Not just, oh, well, I'm going to do this because that's what TikTok said to do.
Surface level shit is not going to carry you through. You've got to have a why. And you can have multiple whys too. We're in the gym because when we are old, we want to have our independence and our strength and our mobility, but we also have like more short-term goals.
Which, like, for my job, I've said it last time and I'll say it probably again and again and again. It just makes my job easier at the end of the day. So the stronger that I can get, the more I can do for my clients, myself. I mean, even last night, I'm going to toot my own horn here. My ego went through the roof. I was helping my boyfriend in the shop and he needed help picking up a part. And I literally just like picked it up off the ground and he was like, oh, well, I'm not doing anything. We're just strong. Like, that's what we're doing. Even though it wasn't necessarily a potential why of mine, getting stronger, yeah, it kind of came with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it improves all areas of your life.
Don't forget to write them down either. That's a huge, huge important step. Because if you just kind of keep them in your head, it's easy to, for me personally, I forget things very easily. And if I don't write them down, poof, they are gone. I just can't help but laugh because it's what happens. So if I have something that I can look at, whether it be a note app on my phone or a bingo card that we've created, a note that I can look back, whatever it may be, having that helps. We started with a fitness journal, of writing down at the very beginning. It's like, what's your goals? And mine was like, to look harder. What the fuck was I thinking?
Don't just write them down either, make them visible, because the more you're faced with your goals, the more you have to see them and like confront them, the more likely they are to happen. If you want to, just for an example, if you want to play the guitar, but you put your guitar in a closet that you never see, it's never going to catch your attention or be in the way. You want your goals and your habits to be so accessible and so in your face that it is actually easier to just do them than it is to not do them.
Yeah, that really falls into like out of sight, out of mind. So if you put it out of the way, you're not going to think about it because it's not right there in front of your face. Like, you've printed your bingo cards and they're on your fridge. Mine is hanging on the wall underneath my calendar. It's something I look at every single day and I'm gonna do it, like, yeah, here we are. So I'm glad. Thank you for also the inspiration because I fully saw yours and was like, I'm gonna go home and do the same thing.
Bingo cards are great.
Yeah.
Some side notes here.
Okay. The biggest thing to remember as well is don't let your ego have control. That is something that I have had to kind of adjust myself to, understanding that it is what I do. It's really easy to think, oh, well, that person probably looks at how much weight I'm using. Who gives a flying fuck? Everybody is in there for different reasons. Who knows? Maybe they have a shoulder injury, so they can't lift as much as they normally want to. Me. So if you let your ego get a hold of it, you're going to end up hurting yourself, not being able to fulfill those goals because it's not realistic to who you are, and you're looking for that outside validation, which it's nice, it is, but if you're constantly failing at it, then it's clearly an ego goal.
There's definitely a balance between pushing yourself for your ego and pushing yourself because you want to know what you're capable of, and it's very important that you figure that out in a way that's not going to injure you.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly that's the best way to explain it. Because yeah, I mean, obviously you want to push hard and you want to think that you can do more because you are capable, but we're doing it for ourselves, not of what other people think of us. Right? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. And if you work with yourself, you're going to get farther than if you work against yourself by pushing yourself too far or pushing past injuries, not allowing for recovery, and not listening to your body. And again, there's a difference between listening to yourself and not pushing yourself into injury and letting that inner voice talk you out of doing stuff that you're capable of. So you're going to have to figure that out for yourself as you go. Don't injure yourself, but don't let yourself be a pussy either.
Yeah, I'm speaking for both of us here. We definitely learned the hard way that last time around of our training for running. We pushed too hard. We knew we were capable, but at least I was always taught, like, oh, well, keep going, you're almost done, like, just push to the end. And I ran through a lot of the pain that I should have and now will stop if I feel, because it's not worth it in the long run. It's so easy for everyone to just push this hustle culture, it falls into everything where it's like, go, 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 don't stop, keep going, like, keep pushing, even if it hurts, keep pushing. That's bullshit, quite frank, because it did exactly what it was gonna do. It hurt me and you, inevitably.
Well, yeah, I was experiencing really bad hip pain, and this comes to the ego because Ronnie was running 3 times a week. I should be able to run 3 times a week. I should be able to keep up because we're doing the same thing. So I went because she was going, and I ended up with so much pain that I was crying by the end of our last couple runs. I was literally in tears. And then a few weeks before a half marathon, I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm gonna drop down to 2 times a week. You have fun. You do you. My body is going to fight me if I keep pushing it.
And I could definitely tell that there was a couple days where I was like, okay, almost felt guilty because I could tell that you were there because you're like, we're in this together. And I was like, okay, we don't have to be though. And I got scared. I was like, okay, if we want to keep going. But I also should have recognized my own pain and done the exact same thing. But I didn't. I kept pushing through and I was getting tremendous shin splints. My knees were killing me. And I fucked that up for sure. And so this time, novel concept.
No concept.
I was on a run the other day and I stopped when my knee hurt.
Yeah, and
It was that simple.
I know going in that I'm doing twice a week, and I also know that I have to listen to myself. It's not your job to decide what's too much for me.
I can't feel your hips and you can't feel my knees. So
exactly. It's your job to take care of yourself, so don't expect your partner to fucking notice.
But at the same time, like, I don't ever want you to feel that if you didn't show up because of a pain, that I would think any less of you. Absolutely not. I'd be like, damn, that's so smart. You should have, like, I should do that too.
Well, that's what I did the last 2 weeks. I was like,
For sure.
You know what, this is stupid. Like, I'm gonna oh my god. I'm gonna stress fracture my hip if I fucking keep doing this. So I'm not going to do this because I want to show up on the day that it matters and not for like these little runs in between.
Well, and I really thought I did a stress fracture. I was scared and I was like, oh, that's the stupidest thing I could have done. I need my legs and my knees. I'm on my hands and knees a lot. Like, it just not the smartest thing I could have done. So making sure that you're not letting your ego get to your head is kind of where that whole tangent just brought us back to.
Exactly. So sometimes hindsight, you'll realize after, you're like, I was being an idiot. But hindsight's how you learn. So sometimes, you're going to fuck up that balance in learning that balance.
Yeah, no, definitely. Okay, now that we've kind of finished our little tangent there, let's talk about how to set goals and really what they are that you want to set. So the words that we're going to use here is SMART goals. We have a couple different definitions for each of the letters. I personally was trying to do more research for this episode specifically, and I came apart this SMART goals. I really didn't know what it was. Lainey?
I was taught this in massage school, actually. So we have some different definitions, and we're just going to bounce back and forth. And that way you can take what you need from it and leave the rest and just figure out what works for you because you're an individual.
Yeah, and that kind of goes for anything that comes out of our mouth. Like, take it or leave it. We don't really give a fuck. We're here to just talk shit and get fit. So once you've kind of determined your why, like, hey, we're gonna walk 10,000 steps a day, 3 days a week, Okay, you want to walk.
Let's regress that for this.
Yeah, I
and
realized
say,
as it was coming
I
out.
want to walk more.
Yeah.
And we're going to work on that.
Thank you. I was like, I definitely was explaining them as I was saying it. So yes, we'll start with the S and the M. Heyo. Sustainable and measurable goals, right? So that is where the 10,000 comes in. 30 minutes of movement. I want to stretch for 15 minutes. Finding something that you know that you are capable of doing it, sustainable and measurable, time frame, something along that line. 10 push-ups, 15 push-ups, 10, whatever it can be, you know, the list goes on. But the sustainable and the measurement are the first two letters.
And for me, my S is actually specific and then measurable. So a lot of people fail on their goals because their goals are too vague. AKA, I want to walk more. The fuck does that mean? First of all, how much are you walking now and how do you increase that? So we're taking the goal from, like, for example, I want to lose weight to I want to lose 10 pounds, or I want to walk more. I want to walk 10,000 steps a day. Those in and of themselves are pretty much trackable because you can track 10 pounds or 10,000 steps. When it comes to something like eating healthier, again, how do you measure that? You have to quantify it somehow. So you want to have veggies 5 days a week, 2 times a day. You want to have vegetables with lunch and dinner at least 5 meals a week or 5 days a week. So somehow making sure that you can measure it so that you're being honest with yourself about whether or not you're accomplishing it, because we have this fun thing called rosy disposition where we'll go, yeah, I did pretty good last week. I ate well and I worked out several times. And then when you have that ability to measure and track, you can look back and you go, just kidding. I had vegetables once last week and I only worked out twice. So it allows you to be accountable.
The next letter that I have is attainable for A. So that falls into, you know, the 10,000 steps. Okay, when are you going to do it? When do you have time? Look at your life right now and figure, all right, well, Tuesdays I get off a little earlier, so I'm going to throw in a 15-minute walk when I get home from work. There you go. Let's go a step further. Well, I want to work out for 15 minutes every day. Well, you know, I mean, that's kind of doable, but I feel like it's a really hard commitment if you're just starting out. You have to keep it simple as well, because if you think, all right, well, I'm just going to jump balls to the wall, 0 to 100, you're probably going to fall off pretty quick. So if you keep it simple, stupid, with love, it's going to be a lot easier to see that attainable goal. You know, well, I'm going to walk 20,000 steps a day, and you've never walked more than 10. No, that's not happening.
Mm-hmm. My A is achievable. So I very much in the same vein. Achievable adds a layer of there has to be an end goal. Humans love to move the goalpost further and further back. So there needs to be a point where you can declare that you have accomplished said thing. With the 10,000 steps a day, that's kind of a continuous goal, but you could even say, I want to walk 10,000 steps a day for the next 6 months. And that gives it a timeline at least, or an end range. AKA, you want to lose 10 pounds, you know that the goal was achieved when you hit 10 pounds, so that you're not moving the goalpost on yourself and never feeling like you achieve anything, because feeling like you've accomplished something is going to give you motivation to keep doing more.
Yeah, and something like walking every day is a great goal because you're going to look back and be like, oh, look at all those little times that I walked. Where was I going with that? Fuck. Oh no, where was I going with that? Okay, well, whatever. I guess we'll just go on to the next. It might come back, it probably won't. So, let's regroup. Oh. The next letter, relevant. R. Well, relevant is a word, but the next letter is R.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to run a marathon, that is a great goal. That's somewhere that's perfect to start as your end goal. But in order to get there, you have to take the steps. So you want to keep it relevant to what you're doing, which kind of falls back again to all the other things. If you want to run a marathon, you're not going to just wake up one day and pop out 20 miles. It's not going to happen. So start with a 5K maybe. Sign up for a race in a month or two and use that time to get to that first goal. And then maybe go to a 10K or so on and so forth. Eventually, I'd love to run a marathon, but I know physically it's not going to happen right now. I could wake up and maybe do a half marathon. But, that's where got to be relevant with yourself as well.
My R is also relevant. I'm delusional though. See, I think if you were like, hey, we signed up for a marathon, it would suck.
It would
It would
suck.
kill me, but I think I could do it. So I think any goal that I can think of is relevant to me because I can do whatever I put my mind to.
Yeah, so that one really just kind of, we teetered with if it really matters or not. I mean, don't hurt yourself, please.
Ego!
Yeah, we learned, so maybe learn from us. But yeah, so do it, don't, who cares, whatever.
Right. Figure out what's relevant, break it down so that you have like some achievements in between to feel like you're getting closer. But if you can dream it, you can achieve it. Whatever.
Lastly, time. Start tomorrow for 1 month. You know what I mean? Just give yourself a time frame. For example, with me, I have a knee issue and a stomach problem. I told myself I have to figure out what is wrong by the end of the year. That's a lot to kind of put on my plate, but I have 11 and a half months to figure that shit out. If I just keep saying, oh, I gotta figure it out, I have pushed it for this long. So I've given myself until December 31st, and if I don't have it, I know this bitch is gonna be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? So not only finding the time and, for example, for that, an accountability buddy is really nice.
It is always super nice to have someone in your corner. Mine is also time bound. So for going back to the weight example, lose 10 pounds in 6 months. Save up $5,000 by the end of December 2026. Giving yourself a goal to strive for. And I know that society has us convinced that we can completely transform our body in 8 weeks. Just go into setting a time bound to give yourself parameters. Be comfortable with the fact that you may very well have to adjust that time. My 2025 bingo card, there was several things that didn't get done, so they went on to my 2026 bingo card. Obviously, the time bound on them was that I wanted them to happen by the end of last year. They didn't.
And that's okay.
That's totally okay. It's not like I didn't fail. You didn't fail if you're not hitting your time bound, if it takes you longer. We just, as a society, tend to have unrealistic time expectations. So give yourself a time limit, but be generous. Give yourself longer than you think you need, because then if it doesn't take you as long, it's super exciting. And if it takes you longer, that's okay too. I do have one more note about SMART goals in general. Neuroscience shows that brains love visual chains. So get or make a habit tracker so that when you accomplish your goal, you can put an X or a mark, or you fill in the squares so that your brain says, oh my gosh, we've done this for 20 days. I can't stop now. I can't break this chain now. The brain loves to continue that. So having some type of visual measurement of your progress and of what you've been doing day in and day out is really helpful.
Yeah, and it could be an app on your phone. It could quite literally be a piece of paper that you've created out of a notebook. You don't have to spend a dime a dozen to figure it out. You can, for mine, I've got the little Gymshark app because that's the current thing that we're doing.
Yep.
Gymshark 66. I hope all of you are on it. But also, it's really nice, like my calendar, I've got my little, the litter box, little things that I check off. Like, that's not really that important, as a goal related to fitness or anything, but it's nice to be like, oh yeah, I do get to mark it off. Like, ding, it makes a little bing noise. Like, it's just fun.
I got a $6 habit tracker off of Amazon. $6. There's one for every month, and I get to put little X's, and I like that. I like something visual because I won't look at it on my phone, and sometimes on the phone it's not as visually a chain. So, but again, $6 for 12 months, that's a coffee. You got this.
Yeah, no, that's pretty good. Well, and don't forget, too, that everyone struggles with their new goals, whether it is finding what they want, setting them, failing at them because they've done too much, what it is. So don't be afraid to regroup, take a deep breath, be realistic and be like, oh, you know what? I think I was a little over my head in that one. Let's just restart. That's okay. That's okay.
Mistakes are not failures. The only failure is when you stop trying. Failure should be data. If you want to walk 10,000 steps a day, you're tracking it, you look back and you realize you only hit that goal 2 days out of the week. All right, maybe we jumped up too fast. Maybe we dropped down to 8,000 and we retrack, we regroup, we use that as data. Did you try to not get your steps until 7 p.m. at night? Because I know if I don't do stuff in the morning, that really messes with me. So, is time of day an issue? Is this an issue? You can examine, use your misses as data, and don't get your ego tied into them and think that you're a failure just because you haven't figured out the system that supports you yet.
Yeah, the fitness world is really overwhelming, and it's so easy to fall into this guise of, oh, I gotta be this, I gotta be perfect, I gotta just get, no, wrong. Wrongo.
Wrongo.
Your goals don't have to make sense to anybody but you. And really, nobody knows what's going on. They're all in their own worlds. It doesn't matter. We literally live on a fucking floating rock in the middle of space. We are all gonna die soon. Not to get a little preachy here, but it's go live your best life. We now lift weights because we have fun with it and we enjoy it. At first, it was, oh well, let's get strong, let's lose some weight. Like, we should probably
Be
be
healthier.
healthier because I was doing nothing and eating like absolute trash, and getting into the gym made my eating get better, which made my fitness get better, which made my run. It all connects.
It's a waterfall effect, really.
Yeah, which another reason to write down your goals and whatnot is that kind of gives you the segue into your training plan. So if you figure out, okay, well, I want to be able to squat 250 pounds. That's literally on my bingo card. I think that's doable. I just have to work a little harder at it, okay? So I've given myself a couple months to do it. I have a training plan. We're working on it. We are using progressive overload. We are working other muscles, which will make squatting easier, but we're also targeting other things. And it's just easy to be able to be like, oh, this is what we're doing today. Great. And not having to just, oh, well, we should do this, or,
If you just want to go to the gym and exercise, that's great. And it's a really good way to start. If you're a little bit beyond that and you want specific results, you need to be following a training program.
That's very true.
Which comes down to like the tracking, because now I can track it. I know what weight I lifted last week and the week before and the week before that. I know how many reps I did. I have data on all of that, and I know that I'm progressing, and you need to be progressing. So whether that's form, tempo, reps, weight, you have to be demanding more of your muscle or you're not going to get the changes that you want.
And exercising is such a vague term because it means everything. Running, walking, lifting, Pilates, stretch. Like, you could go to the gym just to stretch if that's what you want. If that gets you out of the house and it gives you a routine, you're like, all right, I just want to stretch for 15 minutes. I'm going to go to the gym to do that. Or I'm going to go lock myself in the bedroom for 10 minutes and do some things. Like, exercising is so vast that's where a training plan does come in handy, because if you can target what you want to focus on, it's a lot easier to follow the road.
Exactly. Starting with exercise is great. Eventually, if you want to progress, you're going to need to track, which kind of just brings up something that I'm sure I'll talk about a lot, but any area you want to make progress in, you need to be tracking. And that covers everything. Some type of tracking, obviously, we'll get into this more later, whatever. You want to be able to track your training. You want to be able to track your nutrition to some degree. If you're trying to get better with money, you need to be budgeting. You need to be paying attention. If you want to have better relationships, there has to be some type of measurement and trackability to any area of your life that you want to progress. That'll come up more later, but I just wanted to asterisk that.
And on the same foot, because I've been someone who has been such a adamant tracker. I've tracked everything, nothing goes without me tracking it, but then I've also fell off and I haven't done anything. And there's a balance that is really hard to find if you're not sure what you're doing. And so, yeah, go ahead, track every little thing, track all of that you want. If you want to lose weight, track the calories that you're eating. If you want to gain your muscle, track the protein, how much fiber. I'm eating none, so I should be tracking it.
Everything is healthy. Like, tracking is healthy until it becomes obsessive.
Yep.
You should have some measure of tracking. Eating disorders are an aside from this, which I'm not qualified to talk about, but you probably shouldn't be tracking. But otherwise, tracking is good, but you don't want your personal value tied up in those numbers and tracking. Again, those things are data. It does not mean you're a failure.
Yeah, they're supposed to help you remember what you've done and how to get better if that's the goal of getting to where you want to get. Because yeah, when I stopped tracking what I was eating, I just went off the deep end. Like, I just wasn't even realizing that I wasn't eating enough protein. I was like, oh, I should be fine, blah, blah, blah. It's not, and I didn't realize it. But that's a simple thing. And now I'm like, oh, okay, I found that middle ground where it's like, yep, I've got this, I've got that, good to go.
Yeah, and with nutrition, you shouldn't be tracking all the time. But circling back around, you got to track your training so that you know if you're applying progressive overload. And your training needs to be adaptable.
Yeah, I can barely remember what we've done day to day, let alone week to week. So having some sort of fitness journal, fitness app, whatever it is, that I think that is the most important thing for me, because I get a little check mark. So when I do things, it's that accomplishment of like, ding, check, done it. Like, we're good to go. But also, okay, well, how much have I lifted? Oh, last week we went down in weight because X reason. Oh, that's right. We went up in weight on accident, so we could go up again because we can go up again.
It's kind of like with our bench press lately. One week we're able to do so many reps at 85, and then for 2 weeks now we've had to back off, and so we've got to figure out whatever. But we wouldn't know because, again, rosy retrospection, you can look back and be like, oh yeah, I lifted that much weight. No, you didn't.
Well, and even if you do write it down, sometimes you make a little mistake there. We have determined that we are illiterate when it comes to doing math on the machines.
So bad.
It's really bad. We'll be like, oh, well, isn't this 115? Like, no, this is 125. No, but isn't it one?
We took my husband on New Year's and made him do our pyramid hip thrusts, and he was looking at the bar and went, how much weight did you say this was? 195. And he's like, no.
Wrong.
We went up 30 pounds on him by accident, and ourselves, obviously, but
we literally had no idea. We were like, damn, this is fucking
hard.
This
feels hard, yeah.
But at the same time, we were just like, oh, we're pushing through. So tracking is great if you can do math too.
Yes. All right, I'm going to let Roni talk about the 4 pillars of fitness here.
So we've got cardio, muscular strength, muscular endurance, and flexibility. I should have done more about read these ones. I didn't think you were going to send it over to me.
So with cardio is any type of sustained aerobic activity, and cardio is great. It's going to be for your cardiovascular system, your heart, your veins. Very important long term. You don't need to be a cardio bunny, though. You need to lift weights. Lifting weights helps with your cardio. Obviously, muscular strength is lifting weights and applying progressive overload. Muscular endurance, for me, this means like tempoed work and being able to endure load for a little bit longer.
Like static holds and whatnot.
Static holds, but also like running. That's muscular. Long distance running is muscular endurance.
Yeah, that one is a perfect combination of the cardio and the muscular endurance, because, yeah, you're running for a long hours. And I now know that if I ever had to run for multiple hours, we can do it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Flexibility, I think a better term would be mobility. Your muscles don't mean shit if you can't move. If you can't move your body or your joints are uncomfortable with movement, your big ass muscles mean jack shit.
I mean, you've seen all those big buff lifter dudes who can barely lift their arms above their right here because their muscles are so tight, and ew. Sorry.
And long term, that muscle mass, like, thinking about when you're 80, that muscle mass, great. But the fact that you can't move is still going to matter. So make sure you're doing a little bit of like mobility, flexibility, whatever. I also want to make a note here that a training program and progressive overload is going to be boring. You're going to be doing the same shit day in and day out because that's what you need to grow your muscles. And gym bro ass muscle confusion is look at me. It's not fucking real.
I knew that's where you're going.
Oh my god.
You actually are doing absolutely nothing when you are not progressively overloading the same exercises week after week, because if you go in one week and you do a bicep curl and then you do an overhead press the next day and then you do a row this day and then you do that, your muscles never get the chance to strengthen if you barely fucking do them to begin with.
You're not confusing your muscle. Your muscle doesn't have a fucking brain. The only thing your muscle knows is the load that's being put on it. You can do the exact same exercise every single day, and as long as you are applying progressive overload, you will see results. If I hear one of you motherfuckers come at me with some goddamn muscle confusion shit, I'm gonna fly off the handle.
Throttle you bitches.
The only muscle confusion I could totally get behind is the neuroplasticity movements where you're like moving one thing like up and down with one hand and then in a triangle with the other hand. And that's exercising your literal brain. It has nothing to do with whatever, and it's also not technically called muscle confusion, but that's the only argument I will ever accept. Otherwise, you're wrong. Wrong-o.
Wrong-o. Yeah, I lost anything that I was going to bring up there, and I had something good to point out, but obviously it doesn't matter. I think that kind of wraps everything up. I definitely lost my train of thought there and will not be finding it again. But if you would like to follow this show, you can follow us at Gym Girls Anonymous Podcast on all forms of social media. You can follow me at Ronnie.Hansen on Instagram and TikTok.
You can follow me at Lainey Shipman on all things.
All things good.
All things good.
Next week, we are going to talk about what we wish we knew before we started our fitness journeys in the gym and running.
All right, fitness freaks.
I think I like that one, unless somebody has a different. Fuck.
All right, quad squad.
Oh my god, that's so cute. Well, we need something to call you all. So,
what do you like?
If you have any suggestions, leave them in the comments below. But we will catch you next week.
Bye.